Okay, let's dive in. Some pretty striking headlines today, like this one. 16-year-old scores 98% in UTME maths. That's the big university entrance exam here.
Wow. Yeah, that jumps out.
And then on the global stage, US and China meet to de-escalate trade war, also quite significant.
Definitely. Big economic implications there.
So today we're taking a deep dive into a whole collection of recent Nigerian newspaper headlines, mostly from May 11th, 2025. Plus, we've got a Did You Know segment and a look at today in history.
It gives you a real snapshot, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Local, global, historical context, all bundled together.
Exactly. Think of it as a quick but hopefully thorough look at what's making news. Our mission really is to pull out the most important, the most interesting bits, add some context, maybe connect some dots for you.
Yeah, find those aha moments, like you said, without getting completely swamped by all the information.
Right. So let's start right here in Nigeria, local news and politics. And unfortunately, one of the headlines that really stands out first is more attacks in Benue State, a reported loss of 23 lives.
Yeah, that's just tragic. A really stark reminder of the ongoing security challenges in certain areas.
It really is. Beyond just the terrible human cost, what do these recurring incidents sort of suggest about the underlying issues? Or maybe the effectiveness of the measures being taken?
Well, without knowing the absolute specifics of this incident from just the headline, repeated violence like this obviously raises serious questions. Questions about the root causes, are they being addressed, and are the current security strategies actually working effectively in the long run for those communities?
It points to needing maybe a deeper look, perhaps different approaches.
Exactly. A more comprehensive strategy might be needed for lasting peace there.
Okay, shifting gears slightly. We see Governor Wykes announcing quite a long 2-week period of project commissioning. It's leading up to President Tinubu's second anniversary in office.
Ah, yes. Showcasing completed works. That timing's common around political milestones.
It certainly looks like a focused effort to, highlight achievements. How much do these kinds of displays actually resonate with people, do you think? Does it translate to real political support?
That's a really good question. It's complex. On one hand, showing finished projects is tangible, right? It demonstrates progress, fulfilling promises. But its impact on public opinion, that depends.
Depends on what?
On the quality of the projects. Are they actually useful? Does the public know about them? And what's the bigger picture, the wider political and economic mood? It can build trust, but
it could also look just performative.
Precisely. If it's not seen as delivering genuine lasting benefits, it can backfire.
Okay, now here's that news I mentioned earlier, the one that really caught my eye. A 16-year-old scoring an incredible 98% in mathematics and 336 overall in the UTME, the university entrance exam. That's amazing.
It really is quite remarkable. A score like that definitely signifies something.
But what? Is it just, one exceptionally brilliant kid? Or could it hint at something broader in the education system? Improvement, maybe?
Hard to say from just one result, isn't it? It's certainly proof of incredible individual talent and hard work. But to know if it's a trend, you'd need more data. Are we seeing more high scores like this in maths or other subjects?
Right. We don't know that from this.
No. But at the very least, it's incredibly inspiring. Shows what Nigerian students can achieve.
Definitely. We're also seeing well wishes for Chief Fasaranti on his 99th birthday from prominent figures, and celebrations for Chief Fenwawobo's 85th.
Marking milestones for respected elders. That's culturally significant.
And some positive development news. MO Airport apparently had its first international flight. That could be big for the region, couldn't it?
Oh, absolutely. International flights can be a major boost for the economy, for tourism, just general connectivity for the Southeast. That's potentially very significant news.
Then there's this rather unusual local story. An Anambra primary school got sanctioned for charging a N5,000 fee for prefect nominations.
A nomination fee for prefects. That is specific.
What does that tell us? About local governance, maybe, or the pressures schools are under?
Well, it shows that oversight exists, even at the primary level. Someone's enforcing regulations against, perhaps, unauthorized fees being pushed onto parents.
So, accountability.
Yes. But it also might hint at financial struggles within schools. Maybe they're trying to find funds wherever they can. Highlights the need for proper, transparent funding.
Right. Now, this headline really grabbed me. Dangote Industries committing N15 billion, that's billion with a B, to upgrade Kano University of Science and Technology. The goal, world-class status.
15 billion naira. Wow. That is a massive investment in higher education.
What kind of impact could that realistically have? for the university and maybe even wider.
Oh, potentially transformative. An investment like that can overhaul everything: infrastructure, labs, research facilities, attracting top faculty, raising academic standards across the board.
So it could genuinely lift Kano University's profile.
Absolutely. Globally, even. It could attract talent, spur innovation.
Yeah.
It could have ripple effects, benefiting higher education quality in Nigeria more broadly. That's a potential game changer.
Okay, let's shift to the political scene a bit. Looks like some movement in the National Assembly. Reports of defections increasing the number of APC members.
The usual political dynamics, shifts in alignment.
And we're also seeing a rumor about Natasha possibly defecting, apparently fueled by a TikTok post where she praised President Tinubu.
Social media driving speculation again.
Exactly. It shows how much platforms like TikTok can influence the political conversation, even if it's just rumor, right?
Absolutely. It underscores how dynamic and, frankly, unpredictable the landscape can be. Defections shift power balances, and social media just pours fuel on the fire, shaping narratives incredibly quickly.
Yeah, perceptions change fast online. Now, on a more serious note, the federal government has apparently given its reasons to the Supreme Court for declaring emergency rule in Rivers State. The justification cited is governance collapse.
Governance collapse. That's very strong language.
It is. What are the implications when the federal government uses a reason like that to impose emergency rule on a state?
Well, invoking that is a major step. It suggests the state government is fundamentally unable to function. It opens the door to significant federal intervention in state affairs.
Which raises questions.
Big ones.
Yeah.
Complex legal and political questions about federal versus state power, the impact on democracy within that state.
Yeah.
It's a very serious development.
Okay. We're also seeing reports of the Army conducting operations against bandits. This is in the border areas between Kwara and Niger states, so ongoing security efforts there.
Right. Tackling insecurity remains a major focus.
And down in the Niger Delta, news of 15 people convicted for pipeline vandalism. The National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, made a statement. Seems like a continued push against those illegal activities impacting the oil sector.
It highlights the multifaceted nature of the security challenges, doesn't it? Banditry in one area, economic sabotage in another, the government's responding on multiple fronts.
Staying on accountability, the ICPC, the anti-corruption agency, is reportedly stepping up its probe into alleged fraud with the NEL-FND loan program.
Good. Ensuring the integrity of those kinds of social support programs is crucial. Preventing corruption there is key.
Meanwhile, Northwest governors apparently met to coordinate strategies on insecurity in their region. That makes sense. Regional cooperation.
Yes, these problems often cross state lines, so a unified approach is logical.
And the PDP governors are reportedly holding emergency talks. The reason given? Mass defections from their party.
So internal pressures mounting for the opposition. That points to potential realignments happening within the parties.
Definitely seems like a lot of political chess being played. Now, economic policy. The federal government is apparently holding firm on implementing its Naira for crude policy.
That's a significant economic strategy, yes, aimed at bolstering the Naira and managing Forex. Its success will be watched very closely.
But on a less positive note, education again. Anambra and Lagos states are reportedly leading in UTME exam malpractices.
Oof, that's worrying. High levels of cheating really undermine the credibility of the whole university admissions process, doesn't it?
It really does. Raises serious questions about fairness and what needs to be done to stop it.
Definitely needs robust measures to tackle that.
Okay, infrastructure. The FG plans to spend N73.9 billion on the Abuja-Kefi road expansion. That's a hefty sum.
Key corridor, that road. Investment there is needed for easing traffic, boosting connectivity, trade, all that good stuff.
And the Minister of Information is taking a media literacy campaign to schools, focusing on teaching young people about fake news.
Oh, that's vital. Absolutely crucial in today's world. Equipping kids with critical thinking skills to navigate the flood of information, spot misinformation. Very important initiative.
There's also a pledge, apparently, from the FG to support entrepreneurs in the beauty industry. That's quite specific.
Interesting. Perhaps a nod towards economic diversification, supporting smaller sectors, job creation.
Could be. And we have weather warnings, excessive rainfall expected in the FCT, Lagos, and some other areas. Important heads up for people there.
Yeah, essential public safety information. Allows people and authorities to prepare for potential flooding or disruptions.
On a lighter note, Lateef Adedimeji and his wife, Mobimpe, won Best Indigenous Movie at the AMVCAs for Lisabi, The Uprising.
Fantastic. Great to see Nollywood's indigenous films getting that recognition.
Always good news. And the Nigerian Blind Society held its 27th Sports Day.
Brilliant. Wonderful event promoting inclusivity and showcasing talent.
We also have a quick note about the Southwest Games Committee and confirmation that the Apawasa Road is ready for inauguration.
Ah, the Ebawassa Road that ties back to Wyke's project commissioning announcement earlier, doesn't it?
Exactly, linking things up.
Shows that focus on infrastructure delivery.
Right, and in what seems like a move towards better ethics, lawyers are reportedly commending Senate President Akpabio
For what?
for stepping down from a committee investigating alleged sexual harassment, seen as promoting impartiality.
Ah, okay. That suggests a recognition of needing to avoid conflicts of interest, maintain ethical standards in public life. That's positive.
And internationally, Atio, the Nigerian energy company, is partnering with a firm in Mozambique on a refinery project.
Interesting. Nigerian companies expanding their footprint in the energy sector across Africa. That's significant.
We're also seeing reports of IPOB criticizing a recent Amnesty International report that links them to attacks, so contention there.
Yes, that highlights ongoing tensions and differing narratives in the Southeast.
And commissioners are apparently urging APC governors to really push President Tinubu's youth agenda at the state level.
So trying to cascade that focus down to the states.
Seems like it. We've also got updates on Lagos APC primaries, local council poll prep, internal issues in the Labour Party.
Standard political machinations and party housekeeping.
And Kwankwaso from the NNPP is reiterating his strong stance against party defections.
He's been consistent on that, hasn't he?
Certainly seems so. It's a whirlwind of political activity, really.
Just a snapshot. But it shows how much is always bubbling under the surface in Nigerian politics.
On a more individual level, Professor Pat Utomi says he won't contest for office again and has accepted a government appointment.
Okay, a personal political decision there.
Governor Diri in Bayelsa is commending security agencies for their work. Governor Yusuf in Kano has reportedly released some prisoners and offered scholarships.
Acts of governance at the state level. Clemency. Educational support.
Lagos state government is vowing action against exploitative landlords.
Rent issues. Always a hot topic in Lagos.
Bayelsa State praised Dr. Olukoya of MFM for setting up a food mart. Kano State reportedly spent N3 billion on exam fees for underprivileged students.
Significant sum for exam fees. Shows a focus on access to education for the less privileged.
Lots of varied state-level actions.
Exactly. It illustrates how governance impacts communities directly in diverse ways: welfare, education, consumer protection.
Also, Rivers State got a donation of medical equipment, partnership involving Renaissance Africa Energy and NNPC Limited.
Good news for healthcare capacity in Rivers. Public-private partnerships delivering resources.
The NOA in Rivers held a social media chat about the NALL Fund D program, trying to engage the public.
Important for transparency and uptake of government initiatives.
Niger State is reportedly protesting appointments at the NCDC, citing representation concerns.
Issues of federal character and representation. A recurring theme.
Lagos is demolishing shanties in Ikeja. Urban development plans in action.
Often controversial, those kinds of demolitions, but part of the city's planning strategy.
The Elephant of Oyo thanked people for support during his coronation anniversary. Likelihood support for women in Adamawa and Taraba.
Empowering women, crucial for development.
Sight Savers is doing a big project in Akwa Ibom, treating infants with eye conditions.
Fantastic initiative focusing on early childhood health.
And sadly, a man in Lagos is accusing a hospital of negligence.
A reminder of individual grievances and the critical importance of healthcare quality and patient rights.
It really is a broad spectrum, isn't it? From huge investments down to individual complaints.
It truly underscores the complexity of daily life and governance across Nigeria.
Okay, let's look internationally for a moment. A report from Afghanistan. The Taliban reportedly detained people just for playing music at a private gathering.
Yeah. That really highlights the severe cultural restrictions imposed there. A stark contrast in personal freedoms.
Definitely. On a different note, the U.S. and China are apparently holding high-level talks. The aim is to de-escalate the trade war.
That's crucial. Anything to ease those tensions has major implications for the whole global economy. It's a complex relationship to manage.
And then there's this quite startling announcement from former U.S. President Trump. He claims he's brokered a full and immediate ceasefire between India and Pakistan over Kashmir.
Wow. A ceasefire in Kashmir. Announced by Trump. That's a big claim, isn't it, given the history?
Exactly. It's a region with such a long, deeply troubled history of conflict.
You have to view announcements like that very carefully. Consider the source, the history, what's actually happening on the ground. Kashmir is incredibly complex. Simple, immediate fixes are rare.
Which actually leads us perfectly into our Did You Know section, because we mentioned Kashmir.
And timing.
It's worth reminding ourselves this is a stunningly beautiful Himalayan region, but also one of the most heavily contested places on Earth. It's been the core issue between India and Pakistan since partition back in 1947. Decades of tension and conflict.
That context is absolutely vital for understanding why any news about Kashmir, especially a certain ceasefire claim, is so significant and sensitive. History weighs heavily there.
And just as an interesting side note, the word cashmere, that fine wool, it actually comes from the name of this region, from the Kashmir goat.
Connects the place to the product.
Yes,
It
sir.
shows how history, geography, politics, even language are all intertwined.
Exactly. Okay, finally, our Today in History segment. On this day, May 10th, but way back in the year 868, the Diamond Sutra was produced in China.
The Diamond Sutra. That's recognized as the world's earliest surviving dated printed book, isn't it?
That's the one. An incredibly important text in Mahayana Buddhism, a real landmark in printing history. And it's housed now in the British Library.
Amazing piece of history. Shows how long humans have been innovating to share knowledge.
We also have a quote for today from Corrie ten Boom. She wrote, "Don't bother to give God instructions, just report for duty."
That's quite thought-provoking, isn't it? A perspective on faith, acceptance, just doing your part, perhaps, resonates differently depending on your viewpoint.
So, wrapping up this deep dive, we've gone through a single day's headlines, touched on history, culture. It's been a real mix, hasn't it? Governance, policy, social issues like education and health, economics, international relations.
It really has. And what strikes me is how things connect, even if they seem separate at first glance. Like you mentioned, the focus on youth, the media literacy campaign, the call for governors to implement youth agendas, that amazing UTME score, the huge university investment.
Yeah, it suggests a thread, a focus on the younger generation, perhaps.
Potentially. And we also saw the power of media, especially social media, shaping narratives with that TikTok rumor about the defection.
Right. It really makes you think about the layers of information, the stories behind the headlines we see every day.
Absolutely. It's a complex picture.
So here's a final thought for you, the listener, to maybe mull over. Looking at this snapshot from just one day, May 11th, 2025, what do you think are the most pressing issues that jump out? And how might some of these very local Nigerian events actually link up to bigger global trends or challenges?
Yeah. How does the local reflect the global and vice versa? It's definitely something worth pondering.
Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.